Hello and welcome to the Financial Bunny TV. My name is Nicolette Mashile, also known as the Financial Bunny. So today I want to talk a little bit about Savings Month. Now we know in South Africa in July we celebrate a Savings Month. It's quite a big month in the personal finance management space because it reminds each and every single one of us that savings is part of managing your money correctly. Now before I get into today's video, please remember none of my videos constitute as financial advice. If you are, however, looking for financial advice, please do speak to somebody who is certified and registered with the FSCA to give financial advice. So I think a lot of people generally do want to save. I don't think there's anybody that's sitting there thinking, oh, I'm not going to save, because saving is fundamental to, as I've already mentioned, your personal finance management, right? And saving is literally the gateway to you being able to invest. Because if you can't save, it's going to be probably near impossible for you to start your investment journey. So it's important to save. But we also save for one specific, or rather two specific reasons, right? When we differentiate between the definition of saving versus investing, we always talk about investing is growing your money, growing your wealth. But you can't grow your wealth if you have this loop, or rather this gap that you are sitting with in case you have an emergency or in cases where you want to attain certain goals. It means that you are always going to find yourself in a situation where you have to interrupt the growth of your investments so that you can make money available to be able to do those things like pay for the emergencies or pay for the goals that you are trying to achieve. So in essence, if you're understanding what I'm saying, is that saving is there to help you, one, pay for any types of emergencies that may occur that you have not planned for, or two, goals that you want to achieve. You want to go on holiday at the end of the year with your kids and your family, so you save up for it. You want to buy the PS5, you save up for it. You want to go overseas for, an EPL game, or you want to go to Afro-Nation, you have to save for it. So those are some of the goals that you are trying to achieve. Or perhaps maybe you want to put down a deposit on a car or a property, you save towards it. So that's the goal attainment that we're speaking about. And today I want to give you a couple of tips that can potentially start helping you form the habit of saving, but also be able to help you maintain your savings. So tip number one is you need to separate your savings from your main account. Now, I know this is difficult for a lot of people because it just sounds a little bit weird that you must have a different account for investing, for your everyday costs or everyday transactions, and then you have to have a savings account with a different bank account. While this might not necessarily be what I'm saying, what I am saying is that you do need to separate the two so that it's not so close to each other. And the reason for this is because it then becomes very easy to make those transfers in those moments where you may be feeling weak, or you may be feeling tempted to use that money, or somebody even guilts you into borrowing money from you. So rather try to make it a little bit more difficult for you to have access to your savings account. And this is why sometimes we say it doesn't necessarily have to be a bank account. It could be a platform that you're using, like for instance, the Frank platform. You could be using that to put your savings away. Now, we know that if you are looking to withdraw money from that platform, you need to have like 48 hours. You need to go into the platform and initiate a withdrawal. So it is an actual process to a point where you eventually think, actually, I don't need to do this. The problem is when it is in your main bank account, it is easy for you to simply just go transfer from savings account to check account, and then you use that money, right? So very, very important. But also secondly, it's for those people who know themselves and know that by week number 3, they are already creeping into their savings and fetching that money. And then they feel like they've saved that month, but essentially you're only living off the euphoria of having done it at the beginning of the month. But if you're going to use the savings at week number 3, have you really saved? And I know we always tell ourselves this lie of saying, oh, but I'll save next month. Or, my salary is coming in next week, so I'll just save double. Be honest with yourself. If you had to use that money in week number 3, saving double in the next month is not going to be realistic, because essentially what it's showing you is that you actually you are living beyond your means. You are even needing to use some of your savings to get through the month. The second one that you need to consider is setting up one, a sinking fund, and the other one is an emergency fund, right? Now, these are two different funds. So your emergency fund, I think, is one that we speak about quite commonly, is a fund where you are going to be paying for any emergencies that may come up in your life. So let's say, for instance, like what happened with me. First time I moved into my house, the garage door fell. And it fell in the middle of the night. I mean, it was like 2 a.m. in the morning. Somebody needs to come out and fix it. So I had to do a call out, and the person who was fixing it, obviously they've got a call out fee, that plus, the supplies that they're using. So now all of a sudden it becomes this huge amount of money. But it didn't feel like such a burden to me because I had an emergency fund. Usually most financial losses or any types of emergencies usually have a financial policy or a product that you can lean on to, right? So for instance, if your geyser bursts, you've got household contents insurance. If your tire bursts, you've got tire insurance. If you get a fender bender on your car, you've got car insurance. This is usually for those emergencies that don't necessarily have a financial product that can respond to them. You then need to create them. A sinking fund, on the other hand, is a fund of money that you are keeping for things that you know are going to come up. You've just found out you're pregnant. You're gonna give birth in 9 months, right? God blessed. Right? Obviously, we want the baby to come out in 9 months. So you know you're going to have a baby in 9 months. You need to start planning for that baby. You are studying. You need to pay your fees twice a year. The next fee that you need to be paying for is in December. You know it's going to come up. December itself, guys, South Africans, and December, guys, it's a festive season in December. It comes every single year. Birthdays, people's birthdays come every single year. You know it's going to come up. So start scrambling 2 or 3 days before that person's birthday in terms of, maybe there's a dinner that has come up now. You need outfit, you need gift and all of that stuff. And you start scrambling, you start using money without thinking, because that's when impulses now start to kick in, right? And the problem is many of us, when we are doing impulsive buying or impulsive spending, we tap either into our savings accounts or we're tapping into our credit cards. So it's important to have that sinking fund for things that you know for a fact are going to be coming up. The next one is a stop order. Now, a stop order is very similar to a debit order. When you do a debit order, you're giving a third party the mandate to be able to withdraw a certain amount of money from your bank account every single month. Why not do it for yourself? Why would you not do it for your own savings, right? So go to the bank, initiate a stop order. Some banks allow you to actually initiate that on internet banking. You literally can just initiate a stop order of 500 Rand every single month. The moment your salary comes in, the stop order kicks in. I mean, obviously, if you set it on the date that your salary comes in, it draws that 500, it puts it into your savings account. It's saved for you. You don't even have to think about it, and you don't have to do it yourself. So it's a habit that you are building without necessarily having you have to action it, because the one-time action that you do by setting up and initiating the stop order will absolutely assist you. The next one, very critical, is to cancel subscriptions. Guys, there's nothing that is more, it charges me up like getting a debit of an amount in dollars from a subscription that I forgot to unsubscribe from. And it's usually like those ones that have trials, and then they say put in your card details for you to do the 7-day trial or 1-month trial, and then you forget about it, right? And then the day comes where this thing now renews, and it auto renews, and bam, your account is debited. So it's important that if you're no longer going to be using that specific service, rather unsubscribe for it. I always say a lot of these things, that what they allow you to do is to immediately unsubscribe right after you've subscribed, so that you don't get caught. They always claim they're going to send you an email, and listen, who are you going to call in California? Who are you going to call in Cyprus to say you didn't send me the email, but you auto debited my account? That's not going to happen. So rather try to unsubscribe. I've seen some people saying on TikTok and on Twitter that you can actually set up these trials with virtual cards, and then you can cancel the virtual card. I've never done it, so I don't know how that works. But if you have tried it, please let us know in the comments section. The next one is to automate your savings. Now, I know the stop order automates your savings, and I think I want to reiterate this, but when I say automate your savings in this specific instance, I'm talking about using services that automatically take some money from your bank account and actually save them for you. Like for instance, my bank does this thing called rounding off your change, bank your change. So basically it rounds off to the 100 or whatever I spend using my card, and it puts that into a savings account. There used to be that company with the fire, whatever that's called, they have an app that I think it was called Stash, and basically every time the sun is out, it stashes a certain amount of money for you. So use technology to your advantage and find those things that are going to help you to automate your savings so that it once again, does not feel like a job that you have to do, and it forces you, or rather it puts you in an advantage position of paying yourself first. Why do I say that? Because a lot of people, what they do is they first spend, and then what's left is what goes to savings. And that shouldn't be that way, right? The habit that we need to form is that you save first and then you spend whatever it is that you have left. But this means that you need to be realistic about how much you're going to be saving. There's no point in you saving 5,000 Rand, but you know that you actually need that 5,000 Rand to get through the month. So rather save something that's comfortable, like a 500 or 1,000 Rand, and that assists you in being able to carry on living for the rest of the month. The other thing is you could go to an asset manager or an investment company and actually save using a money market account versus using the traditional bank savings account. A money market account generally will move the money from your bank account. It will probably be a debit order. It's an automated debit order, and it puts your money into a money market account that is sitting with this third-party company. So I think that's another way in which you can use technology to your advantage. And these days, you don't even need to speak to a financial advisor. You can DIY this. I mean, I've got one with Coronation. I've got one with a company called Prescient. These really help because every single month, they debit that money and I don't even see it anymore. I'm so used to it being debited, right? The next one is delay and not deny, right? So this is it's one that works on your psychology. It basically says that if you are wanting something and you know it's a want and not a need that you're looking to buy, delay it by 48 hours and ask yourself after 48 hours, do I still want this thing? The reason for this is because we know that emotions and sometimes hunger can make you want things that you really do not actually want, but at that moment, you want them. So if you delay, for instance, if somebody has upset you or if somebody has frustrated you, you may want something that can quickly help you with that emotion, help you manage that emotion. So maybe you're Uber eating or you're doing something quickly, but do you really want it? I fall into this quite easily. I'm always like, I wish I could just buy some Cinnabon, or I wish I could buy some yogurt, frozen yogurt from Yogurt Land. And then after an hour, I'm like, I actually don't want it. It's not that I really want it. That at that moment, it seemed like something that I want because either I'm managing my emotions or I'm managing hunger or I'm managing joy. So really give yourself that delay and not necessarily deny. Remember, in personal finances, you can have everything that you want, but you just can't have it at the same time. The next one is unfollow temptation. I'm very, very clear on this one. Even on Instagram, people that I absolutely like and adore, if they're doing something that makes me feel some type of way, maybe I'm jealous, or maybe I now want to do this, like someone is on holiday, now I want to go on holiday, right? Because their holiday looks so good. And these travel vloggers really do a good job of, tempting you to want to now go on a holiday. Just mute them, for now, you just mute them. It's not that you hate them, it's not that you don't like them, it's that you don't want to be tempted. I think the other thing is to delete apps on your phone that are going to do that auto push, that push out messages, like things like Shein, things like Temu, things like Uber Eats, things that are always reminding you to spend. If any app or any type of subscription that you have reminds you to spend, rather delete it. If you're looking for food, you need to go into the Uber Eats app. You need to go to Mr. Delivery app. You don't need Mr. Delivery and Uber Eats telling you specials and things that now you are planning on cooking dinner and then they say, oh, there's 100 Rand special on burgers. Now you're buying burgers, but you didn't really want to buy burgers. You plan to cook. So I would say delete apps that give you push notifications that tempt you to spend. Right. Then the last one, which is very, very close to my heart, is I think personal awareness is very important. So at the beginning of the year, I started doing my 100-day savings challenge. It is a challenge that I have committed to because at the end of it, I'm going to save 50,000 Rand and 50,550 Rand, right? And the reason why I'm doing it this way, because a lot of people ask me this question, why don't you just save in a bank account where your money is going to be safe and you're going to be earning interest? The problem with me is that out of mind or out of sight, out of mind. I will forget the consistency of saving every single month. Yes, I can automate those things, but the problem is once I see like I've reached like my 10,000, Murphy's Law, something always comes up or I bring it up. And I always find that if I don't see my savings, it's very easy for me to kind of not be emotionally and psychologically attached to those savings. So with this book, I'm able to see it. And sometimes if I see like gaps, you see like there's a gap here, I get really frustrated when I see the gaps and I really want to fill them. And I was actually telling a friend of mine that when I have this book, even in my car, and I need to fill petrol, I never ever feel tempted to take money out of any of the envelopes. And the reason for that is I want to win. I don't want to feel like a loser and have empty, envelopes. So I always try to fill these envelopes. And I think also the other thing that makes me really want to finish this is because I have an emotional goal that is attached to this 50,550, right? I've got two goals. One is to max out my TFSA, which is the 36,000 rand. Then the balance of that money, I want to go and take myself and my partner on holiday. So there is an emotional attachment to the goal. So, and the goal is achieved by me filling each and every single one of these envelopes. And again, this is personal preference, right? It might not work for you, but it works for me. So you need to have the personal and self-awareness of understanding what type of a person you are, what type of a saver are you, what motivates you, what keeps you going, so that you know which is the best saving tip that may potentially work for you. I'm going to leave it at that. Please remember, none of my videos constitute as financial advice. If you are looking for financial advice, please speak to somebody that is certified and registered with the FSCA. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.